get started. This panel is about CSM perspectives, how the different actors of the community staking module can see it or can use it. Today we have very uh, two very good examples of that. I'll let them introduce themselves in a second. But I think it's a particularly important discussion to have now that the community staking module is live on mainnet, and it's probably short of just a few months to for the early adoption period to end, and let everybody jump in and make use of the module, and particularly with a module that has such a characteristic and probably even attractive reward structure. But yeah, whatever. Let's get into it. Let's get into a round of introductions, starting with you, Chuy.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this panel. My name is Chuy García. I'm a Node ecosystem lead DappNode, and I also currently lead the Ethereum Mexico DBT project, which aims to look for sustainability and community building through staking.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zhuling Chen. I'm one of the co-founders of RockX. So we've been with Lido since 2022, have seen the tremendous growth, participated in the curated set as well as DBT. So it's really exciting to see new initiatives coming out of that.
Nice. And just by the way, for those who don't know, I'm Isaac, one of the community lifeguards at Lido. And now let's get straight into the questions. The first one I have for either of you guys to respond, or the two, if both of you have thoughts on it, is what is it exciting about the CSM? Why does it matter?
I think as a home staker, back when I started having my first experiences at the beginning of 2022, I would have probably not believed it. Like if you told me back then, like, oh, you're going to be able to run a validator with 1.5 or 2.4 ETH, depending on your case. 2.4 is even like very, very low, and like back then, I think, you heard about this, these very few ways of, like running a validator node with less than 32 ETH, but they weren't, like that. There wasn't a lot of difference when it came to the complexity, especially the technical complexity. And I think that it's just, I just feel it's a great way to make it possible for a new type of node operator in Ethereum that I think it's growing a lot, which is the community staker. And I think that this is due to the advance in many technological tools that make it possible for non-tech users to be able to do this. But I also think that it's very circumstantial, because when you put it in a certain perspective, Lido is also solving a problem by diversifying their operator set. So I think that relying on this growing and constantly developing role, which is the community staker, I just feel that it's one of those few like win-win situations for like most players. So yeah, I mean, kudos to Lido for starting this experiment, and I think that so far it's been good. It's encouraging people to support Ethereum in ways that we didn't see before in the when it comes to node operating.
Nice.
Yeah, so back in the days when Lido has like less than 10 node operators, and now we have seen grown to like still less than 100. I think this is a key initiative. In fact, to make things more permissionless, and also to educate or to prep more home stakers actually to participate. Because prior to this, if you're a home staker, nevertheless, you still need 32 ETH yourself, right? But right now, if I'm just a hobbyist, I just need to acquire, let's say, 2.5 ETH, and start working on this. If I like it, maybe I just start to run a bit more. So I think this really just opens the door for a new group of people who has the interest of being techie, and also contribute to Ethereum, to really get into this whole ecosystem. And this is not something that unfortunately Bitcoin can do, to be more permissionless, because you still have the mining pool. So actually, a year ago, we were also, as a company, RockX, we were also thinking of how to do something similar for home stickers. We're more thinking from a MEV fee smoothing perspective, because that's probably one of the key challenges for home stickers, because they rarely produce a block, right? But I think Lido, being a much bigger organization, comes with a more complete solution. So this is something that we think is definitely beneficial for the ecosystem.
Cool. Yeah. At first you said something like when Lido had just 10 operators, or just before Simple DBT and CSM, which was 39, 30 something, close to 40. And that was actually one of the biggest criticisms of Lido. Having the protocol, and not only the protocol, but the biggest staking protocol in Ethereum being run by just 39 operators in a way that was permissioned, for example. It is definitely a significant improvement. And I think that's something that makes the system very special for Lido. But I'm also wondering why, or even if it is important for Ethereum overall, for the broader Ethereum.
Well, I think it just directly addresses some of the concerns of the community, right? Like, if you are growing your operator set, you would need more coordination and more resources to reach the scenario that like everyone fears, and I think that it's just a much smarter way, to like approach the problem. And I also think that it definitely closes the gap between like what back when Lido was just like 10 operators, it was just like this world that was like so big and so out there for people that were supporting the network from their homes, and that maybe that they were around for a few years and they had access to 32 ETH, but then like the price started increasing, and then just this distance just grew more and more, And I feel that it's a very smart and also a brave way, like to address this, to kind of like try to build bridges that like cover as much distance between these two roles as possible. So I mean, I think that in the end, like Ethereum is about that, right? It's about like building these bridges. It's about inclusion. And I just think I mean, and I can get tired of saying it, but I really feel that CSM nailed it with this. But at the same time, I feel that there are new challenges, of course. So just excited to see, like how creative both the Lido team and the communities and the node operators start getting to solve and overcome these challenges, and also even apply it to new use cases like public goods funding, like a bunch of stuff that has a lot of potential, but we still need to learn about this. So I think that it's been a great job by the Lido team. So now we are in a phase where we gotta engage more, we gotta participate more, because the more we do, the better the learnings that we're gonna have about how this is working.
Yeah. I think this just contributes to the resilience of the whole network itself. I mean, a few things there. Right? So first of all, if just a group of professional node operators are running for the majority of Ethereum, unfortunately, all of them are still a company, right? So you are still subject to regulations, subject to many factors, right? So there could be a situation where government force you to take certain actions or to shut down your business. But with a lot of home stakers, it's impossible, right? So that just makes Ethereum much more robust. And I also think that by adding more home stakers with a different choices of clients, so that's another thing that can make the whole ecosystem more diverse. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And now going deeper into, the community stakers, I guess, which is why the CSM is even there. Uh, let's first define a community staker. We define a community staker as a superset of home stakers, solo stakers, or just even group of stakers, entities that run nodes that help validate the network, but they are not financially motivated. It's not like a business. They don't like, I don't know, probably Chuy and I, and maybe you as a person, you don't run a node to make money, because it's not like you don't make that much money anyways. You cannot make a living out of running a validator unless you run thousands of it. So that said, let me ask Chuy first. Why is the CSM such a big thing for home stakers?
I think it's like there's nothing like growing with Ethereum. There's nothing like being in a position where whatever the whole thing leads, you also get to be a part of it. And I going back to like when I said that we're still learning about this whole process, I truly feel, and I would take my risk saying that we underestimate how empowering this can be for solo stakers, both solo stakers and their communities, because it's just many ways in which you can apply this, and I just think that we still need to give it time. I think that Ethereum has done, and the Ethereum Foundation have done a great job, with just the whole meme of ultrasound money, but that is still needs to be like put to the test under the current circumstances. So I feel that opportunities and also risks are going to be an undeniable part of this path that we're going to be learning from in the next several months.
Cool. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, maybe just a quick one. Okay, so Lido is not the first one who invented permissionless staking. There are a couple of projects have done that. But given Lido's position of opening up, close to $1 billion of ETH for home stakers, I think that is already a very strong signal and a attraction for home stakers. And one thing I think is also something that at least personally I found was very important was at least within the Lido curated node operators, we do share and also report challenges or things that we have been working on. So that community and also that knowledge sharing has been very helpful, for everyone to get better. So right now, we are opening up to all the home stakers. In fact, we could pass on some of those knowledge, to them. Some may not apply to them, right? Because some are, could be, you only face that if you're running at large scale, right? But some things are just like really helpful for them. Yeah.
There's even I don't really know the like this docs. I don't remember the acronym, but there's the acronym docs. That's a database from some of the operators of the curated set on best practices to run nodes and stuff. And there's the Discord as well, where everyone is there, can chat and share information. I think that's also very probably very unique about Lido. Like the like what you said about bridges, right? You have probably some of the biggest infrastructure providers running validators for Lido, and now you have people like, I don't know, you and I, who are just running from home.
Right, in the same cluster, right, as these big players.
Yeah. And with that, a very quick question. how does the CSM setting up a CSM validator compares to a vanilla to setting up a vanilla validator?
It's I mean, you could say it's pretty much the same process, but I would be very unfair to a lot of development that has happened this year, especially around DVT or distributed validator technology, because I feel that probably the greatest feature of CSM is the way it adapts to this technology as well, because now you can speak about precisely this kind of scenario where you can have professional node operators and home stakers together collaborating, having the same numbers in front of them, having to perform exactly the same duties, and you know, like when you put like players in different games, but it's the same like terrain for them, I feel that it becomes like a very interesting social experiment, social and economic experiment. And you know, like when you think about CSM as okay, like a way I can run a validator and I can afford it, that's one way. But when you think of it as a tool for coordination along with these other technologies, I think it's just like the coolest ideas that we can come up with. I don't think that we have yet. So yeah, it's like I just love like tools that you gotta like put creativity into them and you get something different back. And I think that CSM is like within those lines where you can get creative about how, what, when, you know, it's
I think it's kind of the idea of like one of the main value propositions of the CSM is being as simple as possible, as close to vanilla as possible. And I think what that enables is just that, is like it's so simple that you can pretty much do whatever with it. You can get creative and plug it into pretty much any existing infrastructure like DBs or some other stuff. I think that's very spot on. That's very well spot on. Now let's move a bit into professional operators, professional operations. And maybe it's worth starting, at least especially for those who may not be as familiar with the Lido protocol, starting with the difference between the curated set and the CSM.
You want to go first? Yeah. So for the curator set, so basically there has been a application process. I think usually there's like hundreds of companies or node operators trying to apply to, and yeah, we're fielding a lot. We answer a lot of questions, right? How do you run it? Okay, what's your key management? What's your failover mechanism, etc. Yeah. So for that set, it's really of checking out the track record and also your internal system. And find some of the companies who has good reputation and who wants to put their reputation into this set. And for the CSM set, I think basically everyone's welcomed, right? So yeah, literally like anyone could just get into it. Yeah, so that's permissionless.
You want to add or?
I think that like putting it in a context where you said that like it's not easy to be part of the curated set because of regulatory things and issues. I think that you could say that fitting under this profile could be the bond itself, like going through all of this. And I think that when you put it side by side with CSM, in a weird way, 1.5 ETH is a little bit like more inclusive. That like most of the stuff that you can run from most places in the world. So yeah, I think it's like it's different in that sense, but yeah, like the level of inclusion that it involves, I think that it's interesting as well. But again, we still have to learn. Like can this scale? Can we trust independent node operators with this? So I think that that will probably be like the next question that Lido makes to themselves.
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest differences is also like the trust model of each module. because like the idea of the created set is to be able to have one operator run thousands of validators. Like I think most of them are between 5 and 7,000 validators. It's like if you put that on the CSM, it would require a fair bit amount of ether for the bond, which is the reason some other protocols, some other decentralized protocols cannot scale because they require a bond, and it makes it more complicated to receive ether because you have to find an operator that matches it with a bond, which may have been one of the reasons that Lido is at the point where it is now, like the way it can scale. And now the CSM is inclusion. Probably I wouldn't expect people on the CSM to be running 5,000 operators, but it's more about being able to run them, even if it's just one, even if it's like just the first bond, the first 2.4 or 1.5 validator, and being part of it, securing the network, and securing also the Lido protocol. That said, anyways, even if most people in the CSM, I would expect most people on the CSM to run thousands of validators. I've heard some things, or I've heard interest from some of the bigger guys on the CSM due to its structure, and also because of some cannot make it to the grid, etc. Just wondering, from your point of view, how would you guys, for example, use the CSM, or even if you plan to use it?
So we're still internally debating on this because we could actually make this as another business, right? So let's say if we take out a 500 to 1,000 ETH, so that means, okay, we can run another additional 5 to 1,000 validators from Lido. So I think this could be a possible case for some of the professional node operators to do this. But we also kind of like trying to reframe ourselves from doing that, because that also leaves less opportunity for the home stakers, right? Kind of defeats the purpose of CSM. So actually, I'm curious to see, whether there will be any discussions of limiting the number of validators per node operator to run in the future. Yeah. So, but we are checking internally if any of the employees wants to just do this at home. Some actually, Samuel. So he's been like, pitching that idea to us. We found it interesting.
Well, I'll probably just give that a shout out. Like if anyone here works in a Web3 project, probably one of the best things to do to keep supporting Ethereum is to run your own node. And what better than to do it with the Lido CSM? But yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting conversation. We've had that as well. It's like it's a permissionless model. We cannot deny access to anyone to run it, whether professional or not. But then, like, I don't know, we have the early adoption period and these mechanisms to try to make sure that there's indeed enough space for home stakers to be able to join. And then hopefully the module has some sort of balance. Like in one way or another, there's probably going to be one operator to offer those services. But as long as the set overall is composed by a large number of the independent operators, I think that's we could consider that a win.
So I think this is also a supply and demand market, right? So so there's already a bunch of ETH, right? So from a Lido's perspective, actually you want all those ETH to be spun off as validators right away, because that's how you can generate yield. So you also need to secure or ensure that you have enough solo stakers on the other side that has already prepared the validators. So we have seen situations in other protocols in the past. Actually, there's not enough solo stakers so you have a lot of ETH unutilized, right? But of course, that was partially due to the reason for some of the other protocols, the security deposit is much higher, which creates an entry barrier. I think this will be less of an issue for Lido.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're now approaching the end of the panel. as we've seen, I think, yeah, one pretty straightforward takeaway is how having Lido being permissionless is probably something that's more good than bad, and that can be used all across the board. Maybe some advices for people starting on the journey, whether home stakers or even professionals. I don't know if something on your internal debates can be of help to others.
If you're thinking about becoming a node operator, go for it. You can try it in an old laptop. It doesn't have to work 100%. If you fail, you'll probably get a better lesson out of it than if everything goes all right. Here, Asset Laser is here, a good friend and Mexican node operator. He ran like validators for Gnosis chain for like a year, had no issues at all. Everything went smooth. The validators run for like a year, and he was like starting to consider like, oh, maybe I'm a great node operator. And then I was like, okay, we're gonna start tweaking this. We're gonna start syncing more chains. We're gonna start doing this, and that's when the thing started failing, and that's when the validators started going like offline. So I would say don't be afraid of failure in this journey, and this been node operating especially. Like things will go wrong, but you have test nets, you have a community, you have a great ecosystem that is improving every day. So just go for it. Don't be afraid to do it. And yeah, especially the community part, if you do this sharing knowledge with the community, that's just like the best shortcut to doing this seriously. And I would also put to perspective that I think that Lido is going to be successful in reaching the goals of the CSM. And after that, everyone is going to want a piece of decentralization. Who knows? Like even major players like exchanges, they start like their own versions, of stuff. So I would say go for it. Do it in any way you can. And who knows what how this can empower you as an individual, as a community member. But I do think that if we want also Ethereum to reach a place and like conditions to be met that can serve us all from any geographic location, from any legal jurisdiction standpoint, the best thing you can do is bet on like doing your part and see what comes on the other side. Who knows?
You want to say something?
Yeah, just do it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, just do it then. I don't know if we have time for questions or if anyone has.
We do have a bit of time.
Okay. Anybody wants to chime in or poke into the minds of these two gentlemen? No? Don't be shy. Okay. We'll...
How do you guys feel about mixed clusters, professionals, and solo stakers in DDT?
Yeah.
That's a spicy one, I guess.
I probably feel better than him, but but I think you can like only by combining this and only by running these kinds of experiments, you can get the best of both worlds. You have like a major outage in like electricity grids, then probably home stakers are gonna rely a little bit more. But like the data center is having like some servicing, or like some maintenance, and it's taking a little bit longer than that. So that way, like even a professional node operator can rely on home stakers. So I definitely feel that it's the best way to get the best of both worlds. And it only gets interesting when you add more players to the same cluster. So yeah, if the best way to find out is also doing it.
Yeah. So in fact, indeed, this is going to be a very interesting period to observe, the development of DVT as well as the permissionless staking. I think it kind of like points different angles of how to make Ethereum more decentralized. and these two comes with very different models, right? Even the operational and also incentive models. We did. Okay, we love DBT, but this is also the first time that it's being like used at a a large scale, right? So we did had some experiences where coordination among the five parties is not ideal, especially maybe some of the homestakers may have to go shopping or go to work, also in a different time zone.
Or go to DevCon for a whole week.
Yeah. And also, I think these CSM probably provides higher financial incentives if people cares about incentives compared to DBT, because DBT has I wouldn't say redundancy, but you have like multiple people running one job, right? So yeah, there are like very different factors. But regardless, we are in both SSV and OBO experiment. Yeah, so far I think this is definitely an important initiative to test out.
Best thing is you can get both of the best of both worlds and run a DBT cluster using CSM. You get a bit of both. Any other question? Don't be shy. No? All right. Then maybe, oh, you want to say something?
I just wanted to ask, just to know, can you raise your hand if you are currently operating any kind of node? Okay, so it's an interesting room. Yeah.
A decent turnover, yeah. All right, maybe I do one quick announcement. Now at 5, we have the DBT workshop in the Bolt. That's like across the hall, I think, right? And after that, there may or may not be, well, there is a DappNode raffle. So make sure to stick around. And maybe there's other of you guys that next time Chuy asks the question can raise their hands. Well, and with that, thank you guys for joining today. And yeah, see you in the workshop.
Yeah, thank you guys.